Testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so it seems to be working, okay. Hey everybody, this is Stanley, or Dreamsword, however you want to address me by. And today marks a pretty big day. If you don't know, if you've never talked to me or heard me before, I consider myself a pretty cool fan of Voltron. I love the original show, I love Go Lion, I love Vehicle Voltron, I even like Voltron the Third Dimension and Voltron Force, which apparently a lot of people didn't like. And today marks the release of a reboot by DreamWorks on Netflix called Voltron Legendary Defender. And I'm going to watch every single episode and give my thoughts after every single one. If you listen to my podcast, I've already voiced some concerns considering things that the creators have said about not only this show, but also the original, the 80s one. But I'm going to try and move past all that, and I'm going to try and judge this show based purely on its own merits. And I'm also, just based on what it presents to me. I'm going to I'll try not to make too many comparisons between the original Voltron and the sequels and all that to this one. But it's probably going to be inevitable that I do make some, So, it's going to be interesting. I've already said some things I like that they changed and I didn't like. We'll see how it all pans out. So, the first 3 episodes, this is a 13-episode season, by the way, all on Netflix now. First 3 episodes are compiled into a movie called The Rise of Voltron. So, this is kind of like Voltron Force, how the first 3 episodes of that were a movie when it premiered. So, I'm going to sit back and see how this goes. Let's see. Alright, so that was a thing. First impressions. I just want to say this right off the bat. I feel like this was rushed. And I know how that's going to sound. And what I mean is, the pacing for this seems way too fast. There's a bunch of stuff that just kind of happens one after another, and you're kind of just supposed to accept it. There's no real explanation or sequence that shows the events unfolding. I know this is a minor example, but it's like the most recent one I can think of off the top of my head. There's a scene where Allura is talking with her father, and she asks for advice, and he says, you should fight. And then instantly, we cut to Allura suddenly in, a fighter suit. We don't see her putting it on, we don't see where it was, we don't see how she got it, we don't see anything. She's just there with everybody else in the suit. And, it's stuff like that where shit just happens one after another. And, this, I know they probably cut some scenes to make it a movie or something, but, it's like there's no transitions, there's no in-betweens, it's just everything hits you at once, and it goes so fast-paced, and it doesn't really allow for an atmosphere to build up. And even lending to that, anytime they try to have, a moment, that moment is ruined by really unfunny comedy. I don't know. First impression, it's not awful, but it's really not, it's not a good first impression. So, next up is episode 2, Some Assembly Required. Maybe with it now being an episode format, it'll be better. We'll see. Okay, that was that. One thing I should have probably noted in the thing for the first 3 episodes was, so far, none of these characters are really likable, or at least not in my opinion. There's really not too much of a reason to root for them, other than the fact that, Earth dies if they lose. And that mostly holds true for here, but by the end of it, I feel like these characters are finally going to start growing, and, that's cool. That's good. Character development is a nice thing. Because at the end, you finally get to feel a little bit of a sense of camaraderie between the team, and characters' personalities seem to be more fleshed out. That said, except for Karan, who I don't even know what the fuck they're trying to do with him. But, yeah, the pacing is better now, this one, but still not perfect, not in my view. I mean, I understand that you don't want to be, like, super serious all the time, because that could get stale, but I don't know, it seems like there needs to be a balance. It seems like every, like, 3 or 4 minutes they flop back and forth between comedy and drama. I don't know, it's just jarring to me, personally. But, yeah, there's not really that much else to say on the standpoint. I mean, this episode was literally just about them training. So, I mean, we don't know too much about these characters so far, but I mean, this is a TV show. Obviously, we're going to learn more as we go. They're not going to give us everything up front. So, things will hopefully improve and things will come together. I've already got a few predictions about where they're going with the plot. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. But, yeah, next episode is Return of the Gladiator. We'll see how that goes. Well then, one of the twists I figured would happen, which a lot of people actually guessed, turned out to actually be true. Well, it's one of the changes I think is actually pretty pointless, but there you have it. For those who might be wondering, and like I think I said before, I'm going to try not to give too many spoilers here. But, it's the twist concerning Pidge. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Something else to reminisce of old about is that a lot of people are wondering, would the old theme song come back? And the answer so far is, unfortunately, no. The new theme isn't bad. It's kinda, sorta reminiscent of the old one, but not really. But as it is by itself, it's an okay song. I don't hate it or anything. But yeah, this episode was where we got our first look at a roe beast. Got some more insight onto Shiro and Pidge. Not too much, but some. And, you know, that's about all it goes. Also, turns out Altea and Eris are two totally different planets. They are not the same as a lot of people thought. And so there you go. And also, Yorak is now Sedok, the I believe that was the name of him in Go Lion, if I remember correctly. I'm not entirely sure on that. But yeah, they've incorporated a bunch of Go Lion stuff. Some I think is cool, others I think is kind of pointless. But we'll see how it all wraps up by the end. So, well, there's really not too much else to say about this one, really, in terms of characters or whatnot. It was basically just fighting a roe beast and some interaction with the locals. So next episode is Fall of the Castle of Lions. Oh, we can only imagine what'll happen in that episode. Be right back, guys. Alright, well, one thing I will give this episode is that it has a better understanding of tone. It starts off relatively lighthearted at the beginning, but when things start to go down, it seriouses up and all the terrible comedy disappears. Well, most of the terrible comedy disappears. But, so I can give it a praise for that. That said, going back to the character discussion, we still have not really gotten any huge elaboration on any characters, other than Shiro, who's been getting little bits and pieces, and also Pidge as well. Meanwhile, the other three are basically just getting ignored. This seems odd to me. I don't know. Also, the pacing was actually pretty good in this episode for the most part, so they seem to be working that down better. I don't know. I hope this isn't how I feel by the end, but right now I almost feel as though like they wanted to make a 26 episode season, but then they were like, we don't know if this will go over well. Let's scrunch it down to 13 and see what people think. I don't know. Because a lot of times, like, there's a bunch of stuff that's like happening, but it really doesn't hold too much of an impact, or at least not for me, because I really don't know much about these characters. Like, it's almost like the show's banking on you having seen the other shows, despite it being aimed at a new audience. I don't get it. It's strange to me. Well, we'll see how it goes. The next episode is Tears of the Balmura, which is a plot device incorporated at the end of the episode I just watched. And if I remember anything else, I'll be sure to include them the next little episode bit, so, 1 second. Alright, so, more focus on Pidge. This was a very Pidge-centric episode. I mean, okay, it fits, but from here on out, can we please get shown more of everyone else? I feel like we've gotten our fair share of Pidge by now. Also, because this has come up in a couple episodes, and it doesn't seem like they're going to explain it, I have a very simple question. If Erusian and Earthling, or English, whatever you want to call it, are so different to the point where they have to call attention to it, like, what is it, 3 times now? How did the pilots communicate with Allura and Karan so easily? And, in fact, people find Eris, like, do they all just speak English, and the writing is the only thing different? I don't know. It's a basic question. Secondly, the moral or lesson, or whatever you want to call it, at the end of this episode is that Pidge finally realizes how important his teammates are to him, and they're all like family and whatnot. I don't know, maybe I'm just a heartless bastard, but I don't really feel any chemistry between the teammates. Like, they don't interact in a positive light all too often. Most of the time they're bitching. I don't know. I mean, there was that one cool moment at the end of, what was it, episode 4, like I said, where they were all just training. I mean, that was nice, but outside of that, like, there's really not many moments where I was like, yeah, these guys, like, totally are in sync and clicking together. No. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way, that's all. So, next episode is Taking Flight. I imagine they're just going to be going straight back to that planet of theirs that they just left, because Hunt City come back. But, well, let's see how that goes. One moment, guys. Well, we're back to complete and utter tonal shifts again. That's great. This time it's made arguably even worse because they try to do dramatic and funny moments at the exact same time, and that obviously doesn't fly. So that's great. And now, this is where I have to bring in my wanting of elaboration of characters again, because at one point in this episode, we're told that only Keith has the skills to fly through an asteroid belt. Now, simple question. Why? Why is Keith the only one qualified? Is it because he was a fighter pilot in the past? Is that, like, does fighter pilot training specifically come with abilities designed to fly through asteroid belts? I mean, Lance was one too. Why wouldn't he be able to do it? I mean, okay, granted he was held captive for the whole episode, but still, why wouldn't Shiro be able to do it, being like the big dude he is? I don't get it. I don't see why Keith had to be the one at the end. But yeah, overall this was a pretty simplistic episode. If nothing else, the pacing is still going good, finally. So that's something. And also, I know this is gonna be strange for me to say, but this show's soundtrack really isn't much to talk about, to be honest. Like, the theme song's okay, but all the other music's, like, I don't know, barely even noticeable. It's whatever. At least it's not bad, I guess. Well, whatever. Next episode is Return to the Balmura, so yeah, we are getting back there, and we'll see more of Hunk's relationship with the rock chick, I guess. Hopefully, maybe. Alright, let's do it. So, one good aspect of this episode is that the elemental powers are back, or at the very least for Red and Blue. Red gets its Heat Ray and Blue gets the Freeze Ray. I wonder if we'll get the other 3 at all during this. That would be nice. Speaking of the robots, at the end, they form Voltron, but it really doesn't mean anything, because when they form Voltron, all they do is push a ship out of the way, and then Allura in the castle takes the final shot that, saves the day. I feel like the Lions could have just done the ship pushing thing. And also, if you're gonna form Voltron, wouldn't you want it to be like some great significance? You want it to be like the last resort or the super weapon or whatever, with how much importance they're trying to push with Voltron in this show. I don't know. I understand that the episode ends on a cliffhanger and, you know, there's a Roe Beast fight coming next episode, but why couldn't they just form Voltron at the start of next episode? Was it really that big of a deal? I don't know. But we'll see how that turns out. Overall, though, the episode wasn't bad. It was mainly just a rescue mission episode. You know, again, thankfully I realize some people probably like comedy in the show, but me, it doesn't hit me. So, I mean, there have been a couple moments where I've, like, smirked, but nothing that's actually made me go, oh man, that was totally worth it, or anything like that. Whatever. So, next episode is Rebirth. We'll see how this turns out. I expect some plot twist of some kind, because this one really didn't advance a plot too much, or at least not characterization, so we'll see. Okay, so whereas Voltron Force had it to where any line could be the head, and therefore form their own unique weapon, Legendary Defender here has it be to where anyone can form their unique weapon regardless by just kind of linking up to the robot. So, whereas Keith makes the sword, Hunk makes a laser cannon. And this makes me wonder, I had already said before that it's kind of redundant that both, at least on the podcast, that both Lance and Hunk have laser cannons. And it's only held true in the show so far because there's really not too much difference between them that I could tell. Both seem to be capable of both rapid fire and solid beams. So, this makes me wonder what happens if Lance links with the Robo and forms a laser gun. How is it going to be any different for Voltron than Hunk's? Because, again, it seems redundant. I really wish that they didn't have two people with guns, because that's just, I don't know. Regardless, though, the episode was okay, I guess. We got a pretty decent moment from Allura. In fact, this episode was basically all about her saving civilians and performing this ritual to save the planet. And by the looks of the preview, next episode is going to be all about her too. So I guess we're going to focus on her for a little bit, and then after that, who knows? Who knows? Next episode is Crystal Venom. I can only imagine what that's going to be like, considering we just got done with the whole subplot about the crystals that give off energy and whatnot. So, yeah. See you there. And so with this, a major, well, I lied, a almost major character departs from the show, and rather than it being a moment of, oh my god, why, oh no, oh shit, it's more like, just, why? Like, there's really no point to it other than, I guess, cheap drama, but again, this stuff would hit so much harder if we had spent more time with these characters and learned more about them. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I expect too much, and I don't know. Regardless, though, the show's pretty much outright stating one of the twists I called from day one with Shiro. We'll see if that actually happens, though. So, yeah, that's about it. Next up is Collection and Extraction. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but we'll find out. So, here we go. Actually, before we go to that episode, I want to note one thing. I just noticed, we are 2 episodes from the finale now. And I still feel basically nothing for these characters. And I kind of know some stuff about them, but not really. And it's especially prevalent in Hunk, Lance, and Keith. They have 2 episodes left to further elaborate on these guys. I highly doubt that's going to happen. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. Unless they do like some huge-ass dump at the end, but holy crap, character balance, guys. I don't know. Just, yeah. I just wanted to add that in before I start the next one. So, you know what? Yeah, okay. Going back into the next episode now, which is Collection and Extraction. Okay. See you there. Alright, so it turns out the episode's title was referring not only to harvesting the memories of a captive that they've had, but also harvesting information from a Galra ship that they end up finding. And later on, I guess you could also apply it to the sort of a rescue mission that they have to apply to this, in a way, towards the end. So, if there's a couple things that this show loves, it is slow motion punches, because they've done that like 4 times. And also, frickin' Shiro's shining finger thing that he's got going on. He does it like every episode in different ways. And, okay, cool for having a multi-purpose tool, but the only other weapon we see that even rivals that in terms of usage is Keith's sword. So I guess the animators really like cutting things too. I don't know. But overall, the episode itself isn't bad. As a lead-up to a finale, though, I don't know how it's going to go down. They dropped this little hint about Keith, so maybe the final episode will give us some elaboration on him finally. That'd be nice. Still a shame about Punk and Lance, though. I highly doubt they're going to get anything, but who knows? Needless to say, I don't have too many high hopes for this finale, but maybe I'll be totally wrong. Maybe it'll blow me the fuck away, and I'll suddenly feel this is like the greatest show ever made. I don't know. The final episode is called The Black Paladin. That can only lead to a couple plot twists that I think. Oh, one other thing these animators really love. Rescue missions. They love, or rather the writers, they love rescue missions. So I guarantee this final episode is going to be a rescue mission. I'm calling it here. Let's find out. Alright, so they didn't pull the twist I thought they would with Shiro or Keith or anybody, because the reason why is none of these subplots are actually resolved in this episode. And yes, it does end on a cliffhanger, and they are very blatantly banking on a second season. This is bad. You don't want to do this, because what if it goes wrong and you don't get your second season? Now you have all that build-up for literally nothing. Amongst many other reasons why you don't do this. That said, there is another twist concerning Zarkon, which, as soon as I saw they weren't going to do the Shiro twist, I immediately knew what they were going to do, and sure enough, lo and behold, that's the exact twist it is. So, I mean, the finale doesn't even feel all that epic, really. Just like another skirmish, almost. I mean, we get to see King Zarkon throw down, so that was kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. Just this episode didn't do much for me. Like, kind of like the whole show. Status quo. From what I've seen, though, people have been giving this mostly positive reviews. I've only seen, like, maybe 2 other people besides myself who were just like, whatever. So, I don't know, take that for what it's worth, I suppose. But yeah, this episode, again, rescue mission. Got Allura back. They won the day and escaped, and finger ending, yay. So, I don't know. If there is a season 2, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe. Gonna be interesting to see what other Voltron fans think of this one, I suppose. I mean, final thought, I guess, overall, if you're a fan of Voltron, I don't even know if I should say if you're a fan or if you're not a fan, because I feel like I'm one of the, like, maybe 5 people on the planet who just didn't get anything out of this. Maybe you'll like it fine, maybe you won't. I mean, if you're a fan of Voltron, I'd say watch The Rise of Voltron, and if it doesn't do anything for you, don't bother continuing, because it's probably not going to get any better. If you're new to the franchise and you're like, oh, maybe it's a reboot, maybe I could use this to get into it, honestly, I'd say just watch the first, like, 5 episodes of the original. And that's even easier to do now, because there is actually... You can even find this on YouTube currently, unless it got removed. It's Voltron the Movie, Violence Restored version. which that's a lot of fun to watch every now and then. So, you know, watch that, and then if you're just like, oh, this is some goofy shit, why would I watch this, then, you know, don't bother. If you hated the original Voltron, I don't know why you would be checking out Legendary Defender in the first place, but maybe you'll get something out of it. I don't know. I'll go into more detail on this if I review it on the podcast, but long story short, there was just a lot of stuff I felt was kind of dumb and went nowhere, and it was kind of pointless for them to be in the story. There's not enough character focus for me to give a shit about what happens to these people. And even their personalities, really, it's not like they have really good chemistry to where I can absorb off that. It was just basic stuff, really. Nothing about this show really stands out other than the fact that it's a reboot, to be honest with you. At least that's just how I feel. Maybe I'm a soulless bitch, and this is true art, and it's like the most heartfelt fucking thing ever devised by Netflix. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But this did nothing for me, so overall, that's my overview. I'm not good at these things. Maybe you got some enjoyment out of it. I don't know. I'm just going to do a quick edit of this and put it on my YouTube channel probably and see where it goes. Overall, my rating is 2 out of 6. It's not like god-awful, but not like true art. I've seen some reviews claim it is. I don't know. Well, that's about it. Check it out if you're interested, I guess.